Hi, my name is Kathy, and today's topic that I will be presenting is on first generation college students. Do you recall your first day of school? The excitement of something new and having your parents walk you to your classroom? Now, think about your first day of college. No parents to hold your hand, but you know that you can still rely on them if you have any questions or needed guidance with your classes. This isn't the case with everyone, though. Although not everyone is lucky enough to have parents who have gone through and completed a 4-year university by obtaining a bachelor's degree, there is a large percentage of students who are first generation college students. This population of students make up a majority of the student body, which is admirable but insane at the same time since they do not gain the recognition that they deserve. Many of these students have faced the struggles of maneuvering through the whole college life experience alone. Defining these students under one umbrella has caused many obstacles to help those who truly are in need of assistance. In this research, we will be focusing on female Asian American first generation college students. The questions for our research are: how does being a first generation Asian American female college student affect or impact one's overall college experience? And what are the struggles associated with community building as a first generation Asian American female college student? As a first generation female Asian American college student myself, I have personally felt the struggles of maneuvering through what we know as college life. Neither of my parents had finished high school, but instead worked very hard to provide for their children. As they immigrated to the United States with only their clothes on their back, they only thought of their future children and the many opportunities that moving to the United States could provide for them. Our parents were able to help us with our educational career until a certain point. But once we reached the ripe age of 18 and began our journey through the vigorous universities we had chosen to attend, we were on our own. Little did I know, much stress and loneliness was to be the core college experience for me. Not being able to find a community of my own, friends to call my own, and build a relationship with the faculty and staff at Cal Poly caused much struggle in my college life. Though I am a senior now, I still have difficulties with the next steps I am to take in order to obtain my credentials to teach. Through this research, I have learned that I am not the only one who has suffered from the label of being a first gen college student. Knowing that there are many more students who are struggling as I am and did in the past brings much sadness, but also gives me hope because through this research, I could possibly help a few students out with my experience along with many other students. It is extremely important to correctly define anything. By defining a word or term, readers gain a better understanding of the components of the article's text, research, or in this case, literature review that they are reading. As for the definition of first generation college students, there are multiple factors that are considered before defining a student as a first gen, depending on the university. As discussed in an article from First in Family to First to Finish, does college graduation vary by how first generation college status is defined? Written by Robert K. Taubschen. It is important to define what constitutes a student as a first generation college student because each of these students are unique, meaning it is impossible for them to fit into one category. For the sake of this research, I have defined and narrowed down these students as those who identify as Asian American females who have parents who have not attended any college courses or obtained any degrees. College experience considers everything that has and does happen during a student's educational career. This includes off-campus experiences as well. It is extremely important to take into consideration how these students are feeling and what is causing them to either succeed or fail in completing and obtaining a four-year college degree. To understand the experiences of first-gen college students, the experiences of non-first-gen college students will also be taken into consideration. According to the article, promoting first-generation college students' mental well-being, student perceptions of an academic enrichment program by Martin A. Swanbrow Becker in 2017, first-generation college students tend to have less support from families, interactions with their peers, and tend to be more stressed compared to a non-first-gen college student, all of which affects their success rate in obtaining a four-year college degree. As discussed in the previous slides, each experience is different, and generalizing the definition of first-gen college students is an issue. In the case of the research that I will be running myself, I will define these students as those whose parents or guardians have not obtained any college degrees at any level. The students who will be a part of my research will be first-generation college students who identify as Asian American women. By doing this research, I hope to close the gap of generalizing what constitutes a student to be a first-gen college student and narrowing down on a group that is not usually represented in this topic. Many of the researchers that have covered the topic of first-gen college students have chosen a quantitative approach rather than a qualitative one. These researches focus on large groups of students and were conducted through surveys either throughout or at the beginning of the school year. Though these researchers have shined a light on the topic of first-gen college students, there were a few gaps within the researches that have been conducted. There was a scarcity when it came to discussing gender, race, and citizenship status. By identifying and narrowing down the focus on Asian females who are first-gen college students and second-gen Americans for this research, there will be a better understanding of these students and how their experiences as a first-gen college student has affected and impacted their overall college experience and the struggles associated with community building for these students. The qualitative research strategy or methodology will be used to collect data. Interviews with students who have completed at least one entire school year at a four-year university will be conducted along with an autoethnography. Through the interviews and the autoethnography that was conducted throughout this research, I was able to find many similarities and differences within each interviewee and myself. The findings and analysis has been divided into three groups. First, we will discuss the topic of identity. Second, we will discuss the responsibilities outside of school that some of the students faced. And finally, we will discuss their college experience. Our identity section is divided into two subgroups or subsections, race and first-gen students. Through the interviews, I was able to discuss traditional standards that were placed on Asian American women by their families and society. These range from being held to unattainable stature in the traditional Asian household, which was felt by Lee, and Lynn expressed that she was being limited to the box that the Asian community expected these individuals and advised future first-gen college students to step outside of that box to find what they truly want to pursue in life. There were expectations that first-gen students felt. Personally, I felt the pressure to succeed and the unrealistic expectations that were being placed on me had caused much anxiety and stress on me throughout my college career. There was a lack of guidance, which was expressed by Lynn. She felt that her parents were not able to give her any advice or guidance while she attended college, and this pattern was found throughout many interviews. Besides the issue that they found with identifying themselves as a first gen college student, a few of my interviewees had responsibilities outside of school to uphold. Many of these students had to work to pay for their tuition, which was a concern expressed by Connie. And I quote, financial aid was not enough to get me through nursing school, so I had to pick up a few more 12-hour shifts. End quote. On top of the rigorous nursing program that Connie was a part of, she worked 12-hour shifts and cared for her grandparents. On the other hand, Lynn had financial support from her parents. She shared that her parents did not have a high income, but wanted her to focus on completing college instead of worrying about finding a part-time job that can pay for her schooling. Just like Connie, Nock had to care for her sister who was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. Doctor appointments, blood works, and therapy sessions for her sister were a part of Nock's responsibilities in addition to her education. Not having the luxury to attend school without working to pay for their tuition had impacted a majority of these individuals' college experience. As I collected the data for my interviews, college experience depended on the student's major, support system, student-faculty relationships, and a sense of community. Lee, who was a liberal studies major with no cohort, felt more on her own. In contrast to Lee, Connie, who was a nursing student with a cohort, had felt like she was a part of a community. As for the college support system, there was a wide variety of experiences. For example, Cindy felt that because some of her classes were harder than others, she was forced to socialize within her classes. While Cindy found support within her classes, Lee had to push and motivate herself to finish college a year after her daughter was born. Many of the interviewees felt that they were able to build a relationship with at least one of their university's faculties. For example, although Lee felt that she had to push herself to finish college, she also shared that she had a wonderful experience with the professor at Cal Poly. As for feeling a sense of community, there were mixed experiences within the pool of students that I had interviewed. In contrast to Connie, feeling like she was a part of who was feeling like she was a part of a community within the nursing students, Maggie had felt that she did not feel like she was a part of the community, but she strongly believed that this stemmed from her commuting to school. Based on the many different experiences that these students have shared with me, we can strongly agree that their college experience depends on many factors such as their class responsibilities and even majors. In conclusion to this presentation, this research has helped us gain a better understanding of the different college experiences that students face based on their race, gender, citizenship, and their first generation college student status. By understanding these students, we can further investigate the importance of correctly defining what constitutes a student to being a first gen student, what the universities and faculties can do to help students adapt to the college lifestyle, create a safe space for first gen college students, and emphasize the programs that are available and will be created to assist these students. We can come together to work as a community to improve the education system for first gen college students like Lee, Connie, Maggie, Lynn, Cindy, and myself. Thank you.